What is up with it? Today we have a 5.7 billion bounty purple Luffy versus a 3.7 billion bounty BY Luffy. Looks like the BY Luffy won the rock, paper, scissors and chose to go second. Think the purple Luffy's probably cool with that, keeping the law. Two kids, a Nico Robin and a Luffy Taro. The law revealing 4 and grabbing the Sangoro to match with this Luffy Taro that we'll be able to play in 2 turns. Luffy really looking for something to play on 4. We're grabbing 2 Luffys, 1 Egghead and 1 starter deck off of these 2 Garps. We grabbed a Kamazo, which is definitely not bad. We could also play the Nami, but it wouldn't get an effect. Looks like we're swinging. A lot of players like to starve BY, but it looks like the purple Luffy is looking to just press life. Okay, gonna swing 5. I'm gonna go ahead and leader effect, and we haven't found any 2Ks yet, it looks like. Electing not to Kamazo effect to KO one of these Garps. They don't really do much on board, so I don't hate that. Putting them in grave just gives them a chance to potentially bring it off Gecko, even if that's a little unlikely. Oh, it looks like we're going to counter out of this hit. It does feel like you have to, but it does feel pretty bad. I'm giving 2 1Ks there, for sure. We are going to get a draw off the Sangoro next turn. We do have the Gum Gum, so definitely some defensive options. This player has a ton of cards in their hand. Let's see. We're at 8 Dawn. So we could swing a couple times. Okay, so swinging 6. Oh, okay, so they took. That's a really interesting take. There's no way you can take this one because of purple Luffy playing Usopp Hachi. So if you take this and then they rest that and then they jam, it's going to get very, very expensive. So just electing to block. I'm fine with that. I think you can swing another 5 just to get another card out of hand. And then you could swing again another 5 if you really want to put them to 0. Or you can say, hey, you're going to have to use a card out of your hand to take this. I think that's the route I would elect to go personally. Okay, yep, getting that card. I would have liked to see the leader swing instead of this, not having to turn this one sideways. That said, this 5K body is going to start being less and less relevant as the game goes on. So even if they swing into it, not a big deal. Might be relevant for probably one more turn. They probably go to a 7K leader this turn. Hard for me to imagine there'll be a 7K leader for many turns after that, though. Okay, so we're going the Ivankov just to burn ourselves, put ourselves to 0, establish a blocker. I'm going into the Luffy. Kind of interesting they chose to go for this Luffy rather than the Egghead Luffy that we know that they have, because they could have popped this blocker. Electing to use the Gum Gum, we could have just blocked. Honestly, blocking maybe feels a little bit better. But now that we didn't block and we've got a full board, this is going to get to swing for 8. We can really go pedal to the metal. Okay, so swinging 9. So we want to definitely get as many even swings as possible. Are we going to be able to swing 9s across the board? This player I don't believe has used any 2Ks yet. Yeah, so they probably have a few. So I would definitely want to see 3 even swings here. Going for another 9. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I guess we can go just for 2 swings. I don't think we're at any huge risk of dying, obviously, so I like just going for 2 9s, actually. Um, we don't need to leave 1 up for the Gum Gum, I don't think. We have this blocker. A lot of the times we would expect this blocker to get popped, but not necessarily always. I think I would. Okay, so discarding the Baby Sabo, they didn't have one before. So either they're planning on going to 9 with no life, which is really dangerous because this player could either Usopp Hachi or even worse, they could play the 10-drop Nika, which could be really, really bad for this player. I guess with 2... Yeah, that would be pretty bad for them, I think. Okay, yep. Gonna counter and then block, and now they have the double Gum Gum. The BY player, you know, they had 11 cards in hand at one point, and now they're all the way down to 3. So they're definitely starting to run out of resources. Starting with a 9 here, yeah, makes sense. We'd see a block. We've got 9 Dawn left. Okay, going for a 7, just trying to get a card. So what are our options here? We could use a Hachi, rest this, and try and swing some more. How much Dawn would that take? That would take 3, so we'd have 5 Dawn remaining. Feels like that pretty rarely gets through. So we're going to go ahead and swing 7 here. They'll block. We can go ahead and swing 7 again, having 4 Dawn remaining, so we can play this 2-cost blocker and still have 2 for the Gum Gum. So we're feeling pretty safe with this many cards in our hand. With the Gum Gum, we know that this Nico is probably always gonna get popped. So honestly, I think I would have liked to have just seen a 9 swing here. Just get this out of the way, and then we could potentially play the Robin the following turn. Because I believe we've only seen the 1 egghead. Maybe we'll get to see the trash, but I think we've only seen the 1. So getting that out of the way could have potentially been really nice. It also just puts them to 0 again, which again lets us threaten with the Yusahachi. So I think I really would have liked to see the 9 swing there. I think it would have been a little bit better than playing the Robin when we know the Robin is just always getting popped. So swinging 8 into 6. This is a little interesting. I feel like you probably just want to be swinging at life here. Can go 6 and then 9 and then 11. I think as the purple Luffy player, we definitely do want to be protecting this. We can either go 2k, 1k, or we can use one of the Gum Gums. I'm really thinking about how to counter this, or if we should counter this. I really lean towards we should. Don't think we need the Sangoro, so if we're gonna counter, we should probably use the Sangoro. Yeah, I think I would go Sangoro. We can always play double blockers. So at this point, we have to make a call on what we think this card is, right? And I think this card is always going to be counter. It's not going to be another Gecko. If they used the Sabo and they got rid of 2 cards and they kept the Gecko, they're throwing, right? So I think a lot of the time this is going to be a 2K. So I don't think we can ever game them next turn. Even if we protect, right? So like, let's say this is a 2K. We attach 1 here. We attach 3 here. We need 1, 2, 3, 4 swings to get through. And these 3 characters are just a little too small. So I don't think we can ever game here. Well, if we use the Yusahachi, so that's 3 Dawn to get rid of this. And then we can go 3 here, that takes the card. We go 1 here, so that's 7 total. Yeah, we're going to be 1 Dawn short. And we could have gamed with the Yusahachi. So I think countering with the Sangoro and the Yusahachi is probably our best bet. And we know they're going to go 11. I don't hate the Gum Gum here. I think this player really... It's just weird that they swung at this and then they gave up on it. Right? Oh, okay. So this is kind of weird. They like went for it and then they went for life and they... I just don't know. I feel like you kind of have to come up with a plan there. I think we're always getting rid of the Kamazo. It's just a 2K. At this point, yep, we can go ahead and swing there. We've got 8 Dawn. We can play double Sanji if we wanted. That only takes 6, so we have 2 remaining. 2 is kind of an awkward number because we can't both swing at this and swing at life with only 2 Dawn. We could leader effect, go up to 9, and both swing at that and swing at life. Feels like a lot of the time you're just getting the counter card out of hand though. So you like trade 1 card from their hand for your 1 life, which when the game is this simplified and you're going to be playing the double blockers, we haven't seen any aces in their trash at all. So I think almost always we only have to deal with exactly 4 attacks next turn. And we know if we just slow the game down, we should be okay. It's just kind of a blank draw. I don't really love seeing that. Like, we could play it and get rid of this and then go up to 2 life. But they can swing at yeah, I think I prefer just the double blocker here, probably. And the pass. And we expect this to be a 2K. So unless they drew Gecko, we probably win, right? Because if they did draw Gecko, they can go up to 9K 1 life. They'll get a card in hand. They'll have 2 blockers. At that point, we lose. We also lose if they were sickos and they kept a Gecko in hand. But that just feels really unlikely. So we're countering out. We took and then countered. We don't really have any fear of taking this last one. They don't play like a Perfume Femur. They can't super easily remove our 5 and 6. And if they could, they probably would have done it already before. They are playing this Gum Gum Bell, which is an interesting tech for sure. I haven't seen too many run this. I know there was an Eastern list that performed at one point playing that, I think in order to remove Jack specifically. I guess also helps with like, yep, and we just see the BY concede. Yep, and our read was right that this was in fact a 2K. And at this point, they only have 2 swings. They don't have anything they can do. They could Hiyori, take their own life, discard, go up to 2 life, and then no cards on hand, and that just feels awful. They can swing on our board, and then we still have 4 swings. There was just nothing they could do. The double blocker here was just super, super strong. Um, if they had chosen to counter out of the swing at their Luffy on 8, did they die there? We were at 8 Dawn. We could go to 9 Dawn if we really wanted to. So if we gave 3, I think maybe they were supposed to counter out of it. But maybe it didn't matter, because if they did, we attach 2 to Sangoro, we swing into it again. Now they have no cards in hand. They either have to give it to us or block. If they block, we're thrilled, and we just swing at it again and only establish 1 blocker, and then they only have 3 swings, and we have 1 life, 1 blocker, and a bunch of cards in hand, so it's the same scenario, essentially. Or, yeah, so never mind. They were never supposed to counter out of it. It would have been even worse for them. But interesting matchup. I honestly don't know which of the Luffys is supposed to win the matchup. My gut tells me maybe Purple Luffy, just because they're able to go both kind of wide and kind of tall at the same time. They have the Gum Gum Giant to kind of make these bigger swings a lot less scary than it is for most decks. They have ways to get around the blockers, and they have large blockers that this deck can't deal with. So maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't played too much of the matchup, but my instinct tells me that Purple Luffy is probably winning. But I'm not sure. I would love to hear some thoughts in the comments if anyone feels like they really have insight into this matchup. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day.